Welcome to the Line Life podcast. I'm Jeff Postlethwaite, senior editor of T&D World, and today we're bringing you more stories of the grit, courage, and inspirational teamwork that it takes to be a line worker.
Hi, this is Amy Fishbach, field editor for T&D World magazine. Thanks for tuning in to the Line Life podcast. Normally on the second Friday of each month, we would be airing an audio story in our In Case You Missed It series. But this is a very special time with Hurricane Helene, which just blasted the southeastern United States, killing more than 200 people, and then Hurricane Milton right on its back in Florida. So it's a very difficult time for the line trade and the communities that are affected. So we wanted to give some support to the men and women who are out there, who have left their families and their homes for days or weeks at a time, to help with rebuilding the infrastructure, restoring power, and trying to get a normal life back for some of the communities that were affected. This episode is dedicated to the men and women who are out there, who left their homes and their families to make sure that the power and light is back on for those who are impacted by these two hurricanes. And now let's hear from some of the line workers and storm response managers and what they're seeing out there in the field. For this special episode, we're going to be looking at Hurricane Helene and specifically Duke Energy's response to this storm. They shared some photos with us of their line workers responding to the hurricane, which we included in a photo gallery, which is available on our website at www.tdworld.com/electric-utility-operations. Their media team also shared some video interviews with us of line workers in the field talking about the response. And now we're going to share the audio from these videos with our Line Life podcast listeners. First of all, here are some sounds from Duke Energy of their staging sites at the villages in Sumter County with more than 5,000 total responders, and Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers with 4,600 total responders in Davenport, Florida. Duke Energy ramped up its resources from 10,000 to 16,000 right before Hurricane Milton made landfall as a Category 3 hurricane. You can hear the trucks rolling in and the sounds of the staging areas in this audio clip. And now let's move on to another part of the Hurricane Helene restoration, in which crews in the Henderson County area of North Carolina mountains worked to replace poles by helicopter as they dealt with washed out roads and other challenging conditions. Their crews were encountering a level of severity and scope of damage that was unprecedented, which required equipment, people, and the time to rebuild and repair.
Never in my career have I seen anything like this, especially around here in the mountains. As you can see, the bridge is gone, and this is why we're having to set poles with a helicopter. We're having access issues. We've got a road cut from Deep Gap Road back over through the Forest Service to Big Hungry, and we're able to get in smaller vehicles, track machines, and ATVs. And we're set 7 poles of the helicopter today to start the restoration process for a Big Hungry community. It's been a challenging process to get this going, but we're making headway and hopefully get these customers power soon.
Next, let's move on to Senior Construction Manager Marcus Hubbard, who helped crews rebuild the grid in Belton, South Carolina, where the teams are repairing extensive infrastructure damage as a result of Hurricane Helene in the hardest hit areas of South Carolina. So far, as of that point, 6 days ago, crews restored more than 2 million power outages across the Carolinas, and more than 21,000 workers continue to make progress restoring power to customers in western North Carolina and upstate South Carolina following Helene's catastrophic damage. Now let's hear from Marcus Hubbard.
Storms that come in, it's kind of centralized to one location. This is widespread damage throughout our whole community and throughout the whole service area that we cover. Just amount of trees down. it's mind blowing to see the damage that's caused. At the Belton, we had one circuit on at the Belton substation, which fed our gas terminals. Other than that, it was 6 or 7 circuits out, and it was all of our infrastructure, our main backbone, our main feeds feeding out. We've had multiple broke poles, multiple spans of wire down. I think one circuit I rode had over 40 broke poles and 200 spans of wire down, that's all backbone feeding everywhere through the town. We got a lot of resources here. We got a lot of resources coming in to help us. We're working as safe as we can. Biggest thing is make sure we go home at the end of the day safe and make sure we're getting lights and customers turned on at the end of the day. Just be patient and understand that we are working and we're doing all we can, working 16-hour days to try to make this happen and try to get as many on as we can.
Now we're going to hear what happened at the Marshall substation, where the Duke Energy crews brought in a mobile substation.
Stephen McAway, I'm the local area supervisor here for Duke Energy, and you can see behind me the Marshall Dam. During the floods, our Marshall substation was overwhelmed with water, and it's basically destroyed the substation, as you can see. And so we brought in our mobile substation. We're in the process of hooking that up to be able to serve our customers 24/7. Right now, we're very limited on capacity of what we can serve our customers, and this will allow us to get everybody back up and running until we can rebuild the station.
Next, we're featuring journeyman line worker Tyler Manick, who said that they are part of the communities hit by Helene and they won't stop until the work is done. Now here's Tyler talking a little bit more about the response.
If I could tell customers anything, I would tell them we're doing everything we can. I mean, we're having lots of trouble accessing a lot of our infrastructure, trying to get to the work, but we're working around the clock just like emergency management, and we're doing everything we can to get the lights on for people. This storm is unlike anything I've ever seen. Even when I've traveled out of state on storms, I've never seen anything like this, because and I guess too, because it's my hometown. Like, I see my neighbors and my people and the folks I go to church with, and they're all hurting. I mean, my mom's house is destroyed. It's different because it's home. What keeps me motivated is trying to help those folks that I go to church with, the folks that I see in the grocery store, the folks that I see in the bank, people faces I've looked at all my life they don't have a home, they don't have power, they don't have water. I mean, the community is hurting. I want to do what I can to help. I can't save lives, but I can try to get their lights on.
For our next clip, we're going to hear from journeyman line worker Matt Martinica and apprentice Nathan Curley, who hiked rough terrain to help restore the VA hospital in Asheville, North Carolina, with a temporary line while its primary power infrastructure was rebuilt.
I heard in the office there was a chance that we could get the VA backfed and get the VA hospital back on. And I come from a long line of families that my dad, my grandpa, all my nieces. I was Air Force. My son's a Marine. So I said, hey, I want this. So I told my apprentice, and we were like, let's get this on for the VA.
Found a way to hike in. I had to climb a pole and disconnect one span, pretty much just pole to pole, and pretty much make it safe to energize that line to feed the VA.
Trying to find a place to get in was the hardest part, because all the flooding. Up and down terrain that was covered with bushes to our chest, and then when we finally got where it was a flat, it was the washed out area from the floods, so it was every step you almost losing your boots in the mud. When we finally got there, it was actually made it kind of hard to climb because I had so much mud on my boots, but it was all worth it to get to be here.
It was a pretty good feeling. I mean, I felt like we, in our own way, gave back. I mean, them guys have given so much, so in our own way, we gave it back to them.
Thank you to all of the line workers who we featured on today's episode of the Line Life podcast, and for navigating the difficult terrain, working with helicopters, working with flooded areas. Thank you so much for all you do. And if you want to be part of a future episode, you can record a voice memo by just flipping your phone upside down and speaking into the speaker in the voice memo app and recording a short message and sending it to me at amyfishbach@gmail.com or linelifepodcast@gmail.com with your name, title, utility name, location, and also what kind of conditions you found upon arrival, what kind of work you're doing with your crew to restore power. And on that voice memo, feel free to make a shout out to your families and loved ones back home, and we'll air those as well. So thank you so much. We look forward to hearing from you. We know right now you're working 16-hour days, maybe sleeping in a hotel, maybe sleeping in a truck. But once you get back home and have some time and want to share your stories with us, we're here to listen and to share them with our Line Life podcast listeners. And if you're at the International Linemen's Expo, make sure you stop by and see us at the T&D World booth. We'd love to see you. And you can also stop by Husky Tools booth and pick up your Husky Heroes t-shirt for being such an integral part of the storm response. Husky Tools is also partnering with us on a giveaway of a new storm jaw, which helps to expedite storm restoration. And to participate in that drawing, you just need to fill out an online form so we know where to ship the tool if you are a winner. And that will be included on our website. And we encourage you to enter. We will be announcing the winner at the Lineman's Barbecue in Kansas City. Line workers, thank you so much for keeping the power flowing and rebuilding infrastructure following these two major hurricanes. We at T&D World appreciate everything that you're doing for your communities. And please stay safe out there, watch each other's back. And thank you so much for listening to the Line Life podcast.
This episode of the Line Life podcast was written, recorded, and edited by Amy Fishbach. It was produced by Jeff Postlewaite. That's me. To listen to past episodes, visit www.tdworld.com/podcasts or find us at Podbean. You could also drop us a voice memo or message at linelifepodcast@gmail.com with your comments on this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Please follow this show on Podbean or your favorite podcasting app to be updated when new episodes are released. Thank you for listening.